everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of It's Always Stockholm in Los Angeles. My name is Nate Harold. I'm here with...
someone who's not in Los Angeles. I'm Will Noon. I'm coming to you live from New York.
Today we are talking about two new episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Season 15, Episode 1, 2020, A Year in Review, and Season 15, Episode 2, The Gang Makes Lethal Weapon 7. We'll start with 2020, A Year in Review. It was written by the gang, Rob McElhenney, Glenn Howerton, and Charlie Day, directed by Todd Bierman. This episode is about it's them recalling their tales about dealing with PPE loans during the coronavirus lockdowns, I guess, sort of. I don't know what happened in America with that, but during Corona times of 2020.
Now, would you call this episode a bottle episode?
In some ways, yes, because it's just them talking to Brian Husky as
Gary.
But so much of it is like, they go to DC, they go to polling places, Frank goes to a porn store. Yeah. First impressions, Will. 2020, A Year in Review.
First impressions.
I would have guessed that this was like the last episode that they had to contractually make to fill something, or
yeah.
It seems like they could throw it. It's a flashback episode, which is why I guess I thought of it as a bottle episode. It's not great.
It's not great. Upon my first viewing, I wrote down a one-line description of this episode, and then our friend Gary actually says it at the end when he says, "Because they're not Forrest Gump!"
Right.
Because I wrote down, this is a Forrest Gump-ass episode.
That's literally the premise. They're just involved with all of the major news events that happened. And in their defense, I think they should have just went full force on the Four Seasons total landscaping because A, that was the best thing to happen.
Incredible thing.
In that, whatever cycle, the political cycle. And it was in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it was.
That was a pretty believable clip at the end, too, when Frank was
standing
in there.
That was
Just
like
awkwardly.
The only believable thing. Yeah. The alliances in this episode are some classic ones. There's nothing at all wrong with the alliances. We got Dennis and Mac.
Sly Stallone is just a meatball actor. Then why do we make statues to him? We don't. Okay, hold on a second.
We got Charlie and Dee, which is always my favorite.
Clothing line, something called Garments and Varmints.
Yep. That's us. Yeah.
And then Frank, and I guess that guy he was with at the store, his partner, the guy who's helping him make pasta sauce. And
yeah, was that a...
I don't know who that guy was, but...
But what reference was that? That
Goodfellas.
Not Sopranos. Oh, yeah, Goodfellas. Okay. Yeah.
For the first time in a long time, I felt like somebody again.
They used Gimme Shelter, which had to have... in the past, totally impossible with the budget. Something else that I noticed right off the bat was the way that the show looks. It reminded me of the gang tries desperately to win an award when Dee has the angelic lighting.
Right.
The whole episode, both these episodes look like that.
Right. I can't say that I noticed that 100%, but I think I noticed something was off. It seemed like it was a little more sitcom-y. Yeah. And I don't know if I thought of it as the lighting. I also thought they're like the classic Sunny thing. And again, it's like, have I moved on or is it different? But when they seem to be like, when Charlie has like an out of the blue thought at some point, and I feel like I've seen him do that before, but it just doesn't seem as believable. And then when they do the thing where they're all saying the same thing, but they all have to ad lib a slightly different version of it.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my
Which she has the right to do.
Man, that is her right.
That's fine. Yeah.
Again, it just feels a little forced.
Yes.
And I'm trying to take myself out of it and not be so critical, but it's really hard.
It's hard to not be, especially when we're analyzing the show on a microscopic level of past seasons where it's like...
Yeah, that's my concern is that I'm going straight from season 5 to season 15. And if I had watched season 13, 14, and then was going into 15, there might be a natural progression that I would appreciate.
I'm willing to admit that is like a hindrance, at least for me, and then for you too, that we're going from the glory days when they're all also 10 years younger.
Right.
And I will also say that I think this episode in particular, maybe not so much the second one, but this episode does feel it is maybe a little bit better than season 14, but like it's on the same level, which is not super great. But having said all of this,
it's on the same not great level.
Yeah, having said all of this, like I appreciate what they're doing. I love that they're getting the record for longest running sitcom. I don't know if that's the only reason they're still doing this, or if there's another reason, as in like they haven't won any Emmys.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've seen little clips of interviews or quotes from Danny DeVito or other people, and they really seem like they enjoy doing it and enjoy each other. And
yes,
it seems like maybe on more than one occasion, one of them or more of them have said, we will keep doing this as long as we can.
Yeah. And
it's like fun for us.
Sure.
There's no reason to stop, which,
yeah, and that's fine. I will always watch them. The enjoyment level is whatever, but like I'll always support this show.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm in that boat. I just, it's hard though. 'Cause how long can they stay as these like degenerates, and how can they keep doing the same bits? At some point there has to be that reckoning of, I guess, self-awareness, what we're seeing. And it seems like kind of lame, but
yeah,
they're saying, they're seemingly evolving. I think they said that the Dennis and Dee maybe make mention of, they've done a lot of growing and learning.
Right.
Or maybe Mac in reference to his blackface.
Right.
A little disappointing,
Sure. I'm with you.
I don't want them to grow or learn.
No, of course not. That's why the show has been so enjoyable for so long, is that no one learns any lessons.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at the Dennis and Mac Punch Incorporated.
Good. That's a cool name, isn't it?
It's a very aggressive
It's
name.
very cool.
Okay, yeah. When they go and grab some tactical gear to ensure the validity of the voting process, the security of the voting process.
Right.
It seems kind of fun when the actual security guard shoos them away.
Yeah. Mac's scared of him.
The best part of that.
It's good to see a little bit of that Mac bouncer fear come back.
We're going to be less effective.
The problem is back there, we can't keep them. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We'll go back to the 100.
We're going to.
Again, the ad lib moment when they're leaving, isn't like, it doesn't seem as sharp as it once was.
No.
But conceptually, when they're like backing off and they know it's 100 feet that they're supposed to be.
They've been told more than
Dennis,
once. Yeah.
Dennis is like, they know his name. Dennis is like, do you want me to get you coffee? I'll bring back a coffee.
Yeah, that's great. And
I think,
and Rob McElhenney's he's so good at making that like deer in the headlights. Like it's a look of genuine fear that Mac sometimes gets when he's like out of his element. I love it.
Yeah, I think that might be the theme for me in these two episodes, is that conceptually it's I get it, and it's like it's a fun idea. Like even the concept on the highest level of the Forrest Gump thing, it's like it's funny. It's almost funny to make fun of that, because obviously Forrest Gump was a great movie and it was like crazy and unbelievable, but I feel like I haven't seen anyone make fun of that, because it's also an easy concept to make fun of.
Yeah.
So so conceptually cool. Anyway, so then they go back to their did I skip their country?
Yeah, so that part seemed very shooed in, like very like squeezed in.
Yeah.
I got this is how I felt about the teen country singing sensations, is that they just wanted to play guitar and sing on camera.
Yeah, because they did a great job. Catchy song, well performed.
These guys can write songs and play them and sing them. It's like, okay, yeah. Another example of that.
I've said it many times that it's very annoying and frustrating when you see like their Belle Biv DeVoe or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Annoying, but now they can play guitar as well, and theoretically, I'm assuming they wrote the song.
Right. Well, yeah, some of the lyrics seemed pretty Mac-ish.
Right, and that was corny, but I mean, I'm not going to say it's one order of magnitude cornier than an actual country song that's on the radio, making millions of dollars.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, just don't mind the flies. Line was like, I thought that was the best part.
Never mind them flies. It feels like I'm asking her to forget the flies that are surrounding me, not the horse.
It's a jumping off point, whatever.
The thing that I found the least believable about it is that they're so they care so much about voting, because hasn't that been a running joke through the seasons?
I mean, one of the most amazing lines from the entire series is,
Yeah, I mean, we pay their salaries and they turn around and ass blast us? Come on.
What are you talking about? You don't pay taxes. You don't even vote.
Who am I supposed to vote for? The Republican who's blasting me in the ass or the Democrat who's blasting me in the ass?
Yeah, politics is all one big ass blast.
Exactly. So why do they give a shit now?
they don't.
But they do. Like that's their whole thing is they stop playing music because they can't stop thinking about the election. I was just like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
They don't.
okay. I see. We're agreeing. Yeah. The best part of their storyline is the McNabb versus Rocky thing, because that's like a totally ridiculous argument. There's no tangible way of measuring it because one is a fictional character and one is a football player who retired, I have no idea, 20 years ago. I think that part is funny, and then they like put the voting box out, and that's what causes all the confusion.
Right. I like
Pretty good.
I also like the fact that Dennis brings up the fact that he's 5'9" or something. He's like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
You're crazy, okay? The guy is 5'9", okay, to start with. And by the way, that's a celebrity listing. He's probably closer to 5'4".
Frank's storyline in this does seem believable.
And what were you importing?
Inks, grease, paste, sludges in general.
Sludges, I see. All right.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That part.
in context of Frank as a character in the Always Sunny universe.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds believable.
It seems
I thought
he
for
would-
a second in real life, but
Oh, did I say Danny DeVito?
no.
Oh.
You just said it seems believable, and I for a second snapped
I
out
see.
of
Yeah.
canon, and okay. But yes,
Frank Reynolds importing
Very Frank
sludges
thing to do.
is very believable. Even though I hate all of these references to like current things happening, like the masks and the corona and like the wokeness, I don't like that. I'm admitting that I do not like that in this show. But the little gag about people wearing their masks around their chin was pretty funny, because like he walks into the store and the guy's like,
Oh, hey, you gotta wear a mask.
I got a mask.
Oh, I didn't see it.
and exactly the reason why he was complaining is simply because he didn't see it.
yeah, exactly.
He's like,
Just-
oh, okay, I see. You got your mask. That was a nice little bit.
The hair dye thing is whatever. I don't know. I'm not an old man with gray hair, so like maybe that is a service that they really need.
It seems like it because Danny DeVito looks so much older when you see him in like real life. Like,
Yeah.
and he's got his gray hair versus when I think back to Frank and I'm like, oh no, he seems great. He's just bald. What? No big deal.
Yeah. And then he has this line at the end of when he's talking to Gary, and Gary's like, in disbelief. Like,
So you're saying that the hair dye that's dripping down your face is the same dye used by Rudolph Giuliani during the presidential election?
Yeah.
excellent delivery. Dee and Charlie.
Yeah, classic alliance. Charlie at some point gets very frustrated at Dee, and he starts doing the
Get the pants, you bitch!
it seems forced, and it doesn't seem believable. It doesn't even seem enjoyable.
Right.
And usually when people are calling Dee a bitch, I do enjoy it.
Well, okay, so I think the best line, the best exchange of this episode is when Dee and Charlie are talking to Gary, and Charlie's obviously getting very annoyed with Dee, and Dee says the line,
Yeah, Charlie and I were the last tit on the hog before the asshole.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time.
and Charlie's reaction to that is like,
I am so sorry for my partner's blue language.
excellent.
Yeah, that's a great. Where did she get that folksy farm saying?
Great question.
And have you ever heard that because you grew up on a ranch?
No, pigs weren't a thing. So I wrote down all of the references that were in this Dee-Charlie alliance. Charlie holds up a mask of dragon and thinks it's Dennis. The episode How Matt Got Fat, Dennis does the chemical peel, asks them if they would wear a mask of his face.
Do you guys think that a normal mask of me would look good?
Oh my God.
And if there was, would you guys wear it?
What is
I'm
happening?
very confused.
Could be a
Oh, I
loose
didn't-
reference to that.
Okay. I see.
The sewing machine, the stressed out sewing
Sweatshop
is
style.
Aluminum Monster versus Fatty Magoo.
Where the hell have you been?
It's only 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God, I've been here since 5.
What?
D, things have changed around here. They're running this place like a concentration camp. I mean, we shouldn't even be talking right now.
Pelts, maybe a reference to the gang cracks at Liberty Bell.
Buy your pelts here. We have raccoon. We have foxy.
Gang wrestles for the troops. Charlie's wearing the Birds of War costume.
I mean, that's a lot of good references. I didn't even notice a few of those.
And I also think that Dee being on TikTok is extremely believable.
Oh, big time. Yeah, you know that she's bringing all her characters back for that.
Exactly. All the non-problematic characters.
Right, yeah, because now they're woke, so she can't do that anymore. I do like the line about women are alcoholics and hate their children.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, overall, the Dee and Charlie thing was, I thought, the best part of the episode. I could do without the fucking January 6th
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay,
Q shaman guy. I could really do without that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little sad. And I think the Giuliani thing was hilarious because, again, his hair dye running down his face is funny and embarrassing. And then the Four Seasons total landscaping is fucking amazing. But the Q shaman thing is stupid. I think he's stupid. I don't know. He's just, I don't know, stupid. There's nothing entertaining about it for me.
I'm with you.
But I did appreciate Dee's new car. I haven't seen that one. Maybe
I didn't even think about that.
Maybe I'm not as familiar. Maybe she gets it in season 13 or 14, but she's got a nice silver Toyota Echo.
Yeah. That's a good point.
She's just always got that economy car, segment on lockdown.
I have written down that I didn't think the Kanye joke was very good.
No, they built it up too much.
Yeah, the suspense went on for too long, and they referenced it too many times.
Yeah, like it was too obvious when they kept saying, "Well, our candidate," and it was like, okay, well, it's not Trump, obviously, and then they made a big reveal with Gary saying, "Obviously, it's Trump." Gary
is played by an actor named Brian Husky, who's been in, good Lord, a zillion things. But I think most notably for us / this podcast, he was very, very briefly in an episode of Community. He played Professor Gilbar, which I didn't think this character had a name. I forget what episode it was, but there's an episode where they're just showing like all the crazy classes you can take at Greendale, and one was, "Can I fry that?"
Oh, okay.
He's sitting on his desk, and people are like,
Bananas?
Yes.
Toast.
Yes.
Bubblegum.
Yes.
Pancakes?
Yes.
Fries?
Get out.
Let's move on to episode 2 from this season, The Gang Makes Lethal Weapon 7. Written by Kiana Taylor, Katie McElhenney, and Rob McElhenney. Directed by Pete Chapman. Pete Chapman. This episode is about the gang finding out that their independently released Lethal Weapon sequels have been removed from the, air quotes, local library. Their response is to make amends with their past un-PC-ness and make another movie.
Yeah, they want to make Lethal Weapon 7 so that it won't get removed from the library, or it has a better chance of really connecting with audiences, because the last few had, the racism, the blackface, the full penetration, crime, full penetration.
Do you know what an Ouroboros is?
Why was I just looking at that recently?
It's the snake that has its tail in its mouth.
Oh, that eats itself. Yeah.
That's what this episode is. It is so meta.
Oh, right.
So up its own ass.
Yeah.
That, it's distracting. It's directly referencing the show itself by saying, they were removed for insensitivity. They're talking about them being removed from streaming services, etc. And then it's also about them writing and directing
their own show.
Their own show. So
right.
It's meta in two different ways at the same time.
Right.
And also it's just calling back to the series itself. How many countless times.
They bring back Pepper Jack. They bring back Donovan McNabb or
Tiger Woods
or
Elvin.
Hi, Mr. Cheadle, Donovan McNabb, Tiger Woods, Elvin, whatever your name is.
And they bring back Artemis, which is always great.
Well,
I loved seeing all three of those people,
right. Actually, yeah, those are probably the best parts of this episode.
hands down. Absolutely.
Artemis, I don't know if you noticed towards the end, Artemis was asleep when they cut back to like the directors.
I did notice that, but I think even funnier is there's a quick shot of her holding hands with Pepper Jack right before they give creative control to Don Cheadle.
Oh, I did not see that.
They're sitting at the bar, like holding hands and looking at each other. Very funny.
Yeah, Artemis is not. I mean, she's like kind of Artemis-y in that she's just like taking over, but also she's not because she's usually a little more flirty than this. But
Yeah, she has the Artemis aggressiveness, but it feels different.
yeah, I guess she turned it off and then turned it back on when she needed to.
I think this episode starts amazingly because it does like the classic Always Sunny, the day and time on the black screen, and you just hear Frank talking about.
This is censorship. That's what it is. Whatever happened to free speech, huh? You tell me that.
Frank, we're not inside your head, man. We don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Just a really funny, quick way to start the show, and then it goes downhill from there.
It's all downhill from that first 1 minute. Also, I think they were so close to having a good title screen transition. Where
How so?
I think they were discussing like how it was banned and it was removed, and there were a lot of problematic, issues. They were aware of why it was removed, and they went through them all, and they're reckoning, with their past, and then they say, yeah, well, there's only one thing that we need to do, I think, and I feel like they could have cut to it, and because I always think the best ones are when the title screen is a response to.
Yeah, it's the answer.
It's the answer to the question, whether it's the opposite of what they just said, or or it is a literal answer. I think that's entertaining. But in this episode, they say we have to make Lethal Weapon 7.
I think maybe is it funnier when multiple people say the same thing at the same time, because that's like the opposite of what like a normal person would do. To like make amends is to like do it again.
Right.
I guess
you're saying they're all on the same wrong page, and that's
right.
the bit.
I think, I feel like that's the decision to make. Do you make a title screen joke, or do you make like a Always Sunny?
Make Lethal Weapon 7.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right?
Let's get going on it. The show
must go on, right?
Yeah, and then they get into it, and it just, I think, like you said, it's kind of all downhill because they try to make the movie, and they try to be more and more PC and, make up for the wrongs of their past.
I loved Dee's Australian accent.
Well, that was, I think that might be a New Zealand accent.
whatever it was. It was very funny.
G'day, former partner.
I think another funny concept in this show is they were like, the problems with the last movies that we made were that people didn't know where the characters were, or the props came out of nowhere, or whatever. And they address it by being like crazy explicit. So like Dee does the whole like took the 405 to Sepulveda, blah, blah, blah. And then she like talks about her cell phone.
What's that? You know what? It's my phone. It's been in my pocket the whole time.
Go ahead, answer, bitch.
Right.
And then the best example of that is when Pepper Jack is playing Riggs, and he's like explaining why he's angry.
And my level of intensity is because I am crazy on account of my wife's murder. In case anybody is feeling uncomfortable about it.
I think that's the best one.
Right. I fully agree, and I think it's key that you said that. Conceptually, there are a lot of like funny moments.
Right.
It's a lot of execution that isn't really pulling it off. Though Pepper Jack really kind of steals the scene, or all of the scenes in this.
No one can touch him.
Yeah.
Run along and play, little bitch.
The moment where, Mac has to tell him to like tone it down because he's being too aggressive because he's a pimp. Yeah. And then he's just like, Pepper Jack assumes that he wants him to do it more Pepper Jack.
A little more Pepper Jack.
Yeah, a little bit more Pepper Jack. That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Well, okay then.
Okay.
So he puts on the hat. He puts on his Pepper Jack hat.
He steps it up a notch, and then Artemis explains that she told Pepper Jack to if she asks if he's ever been to a child's birthday party,
right?
and then to go back, bring us to that place, give us that authenticity.
Yeah.
And he does, and it's amazing. So each one of his levels is pretty appropriate and amazing.
What? What do you mean this is not my kid? Are you motherfuckers kidding me? I've been paying child support for 5 years, and Pepper Jack's pullout game is strong.
Yeah, I just thought the touch of adding his hat was very funny.
Yeah.
I also could really relate to when Charlie's playing Riggs and he fucks every line up.
Oh my God, he's terrible.
Sepulveda, the way he says that, which
God.
I'll just pop in, was amazing.
I got off on Spellivida, but I took that all the way down to Moore Park.
Yeah, I guess if you didn't hear D do it, you wouldn't know what street he says.
Yeah. A reference to something that I liked in the last episode is Mac being scared, and he is very scared of Pepper Jack.
I got to say, I like most of what Pepper Jack does, and this isn't his fault, but the Fraggle Rock thermos was like a throwaway. Yeah, it was like, yes, it is true. Somehow it's there. I don't know.
Editor's note. I just realized that might be the joke, in reference to props coming out of nowhere.
I loved Artemis's entrance into the show, and she was like,
"And I'm hip to your hustle, bringing a woman of color to spice things up."
Where is she? Where is she?
It's a woman of color? Is right here.
You're a woman of color?
And then there was a thing Artemis talks about, like how she can be paid, that I didn't understand why that was in the episode.
I kind of enjoyed it when she gets down to the end.
Okay. Scissors?
Well, yes. I think Scissors is funny. I don't know. It's like dumb, sure. Because she gets down to vape pens and then she says pens in general. Scissors.
Right.
I don't know. Yes, it is a very, very dumb, basic joke, but it got me. It got me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a thing that got me was they talk about how maybe the enemy or the villain in this movie should be not human. And so they're like, oh, a tsunami. And they're like, well, we can't say tsunami because that implies... Anyways, so that joke is whatever. It's good. And then the way that Pepper Jack delivers that line is incredible.
Tidal wave! Where'd that come from?
Well, no country specifically. Just the act of God, I guess.
And Don Cheadle whipping out his gun to shoot the tsunami. I'm sorry, tidal wave.
The tidal wave. Yeah, the Karen bit is kind of weak.
Yeah, I did not like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, the concept is good because it's entitled white women are the only people that you can villainize anymore, which is pretty good.
I think that I feel like they really missed the mark because I think that they could have gone through the I don't know, maybe that's what they were doing the whole time, but I think they could have leaned into like a Colbert Report, into a men's rights advocacy, how white people are the minority, okay, so when we fully get to the end of this episode and the reveal happens that, and they make all those comments about how they weren't being portrayed in a fair light and no one was telling their story.
Right.
I thought that, I appreciated that. It wasn't funny. It wasn't particularly clever, but conceptually I was like, okay, yeah.
Well, I think you're right that it probably would have been more believable if that had been their attitude going into Lethal Weapon 7.
Well, sorry, I meant the whole season, which we haven't seen yet, so I might be proven incorrect. But if they continue this, ultra woke, reacting to it, but kind of going with it and not wanting to offend it, because I don't know, the whole series seems like they've been going against this. They've been saying, "Hey, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do whatever the fuck we want," and we know that we're not actually racist, so we're just gonna keep going and see what happens, and we're gonna do our best. I don't think they had any intentions of offending anyone, but blah blah blah. I think they were there was a fine line, and they were riding it. And now I think they're totally pulling back from that and trying to make it self-aware so it doesn't seem like they're backing off. But I don't know. I think they could have kind of just chosen a different angle to continue doing what they were doing without it being the same old thing.
I think you're dead on. I think that's my issue with it too. Just couldn't express it correctly, but that's exactly it. It seems to be in direct contradiction
Right, to the spirit of the show.
Specifically, Dennis's spiel that he gives with the flashbacks. That comes off as like, and him talking about like Bill Cosby and Woody Allen.
Yeah, it's really weird when exactly. I said
that is not Dennis.
Yeah, that's not Dennis. But that's the thing. He sort of redeems himself in that flashback scene where he creates this sketchy little thing where he's just like, no, we have to be woke because that'll allow us to sleep with young women.
Yeah. And that does ring true for Dennis.
Right. So maybe they can pull this off if the entire season or these 2 episodes or however many are going to be like this, if they somehow use Dennis's theory and apply it to the show.
Right.
If they somehow say that they're doing this just because, and or maybe that's what they could have done thus far by explaining we're being woke simply because we want to use it to our advantage.
Right.
Which again, the abortion episode when Dennis is literally going back and forth between the fence,
literally climbing the fence. Yeah, the Dennis scene just kind of to me came off as like pretty boomerish, pretty like kids these days ish.
Right.
From the start, where he's like, they just want to hear their words repeated back to them. The kids these days, they're not any more moral or ethical than we are. They just want to seem like they are, and yada yada yada. I mean, he does explain it a little more in depth than that, but that just felt very like kids these days, old man.
Yeah, it can feel a little awkward because I think there's a little bit of a point on both sides.
Sure.
Like obviously nothing's black and white, so it's weird because I feel like he's like obviously wrong, but he's like there's also probably some of it that's right. There is a lot of virtue signaling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my experience, the most glaring example for me is how everybody I know absolutely will be like, eat the rich, fuck Jeff Bezos. Capitalism isn't working. We need to do something about it. And literally every single person that says that has Amazon Prime subscriptions, auto renew. Anytime they need anything, they go directly to Amazon. Like every little thing. They're just like, oh, my Amazon package came. Oh, my Amazon. I don't understand how you could say fuck Jeff Bezos and then order from Amazon every day. I know that I'm part of the machine, and there's the meme where the guy's like crawling out of a well or something, and he's like, funny about society, blah, blah, blah. That thing. But so I'm part of it. I get it. But that's just one so obvious thing that you could do. You could just not order from Amazon. And if everyone did that, then Jeff Bezos would have no money. And again, like I'm not trying to be holier than thou. Well, I guess I am, because I just think there's one thing that we could all do. And then we could tackle the next one after that. But I just prefer, I'll order on eBay and I'll make the second richest person in the world richer.
But, okay, where were we? Yeah.
Finger on the pulse. Finger on the puss.
Oh my God.
That.
I thought that was rough, and I like the fact that everyone reacted that way. Yeah. I mean, it's Dennis, but it's also like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. But I probably won't even put me saying it in this episode. I'll probably put it into audio.
Well, for sure. Yeah. But also, now that I say it out loud, I'm like, I've definitely said things where you're just like, you want it to be gross,
right?
Because you think it's like it's gross enough to be funny gross, and then you're just like, no, that came off as creepy gross. Like that wasn't funny at all. Whoops. And it's said, can't take it back.
The like recurring joke of pausing for applause. They make Elvin applaud when they give him creative control, which is just like very, very funny. And then in the at the screening, he's referenced on the screen as Don Cheadle, writer, director, I think.
Yeah, I don't understand at all these jokes because I don't know half of these people, but...
Don Cheadle's a very famous actor.
I think I know him. He was in Boogie Nights, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's Marvel great. Movies. Yeah, he's a very good actor. But the funniest part about that to me was that they used the same like explosion, and then the title comes up for Lethal Weapon, like the gang's versions of Lethal Weapon. Right. And at the screening it says White Saviors.
Yeah, that's a great name.
Yeah.
They turned into a pseudo documentary, I guess. 2 letter grades. What does this mean? I'm not even going to bother. That's my answer. Who cares?
Really?
They're not that good.
You can get a letter grade. Come on.
No, and then we're just not going to bother.
We're not doing it at all.
You can. I can't control you. You have autonomy. You know, God gave you the power of free will.
Here's what I'm going to say. While we may have our issues with this season, I guess, or
seemingly,
there are bright spots. And I want to focus on that. And I think I've clarified statements I made in the past several times by being like, even though I'm being negative, I still love the show. I'm happy they're still doing it.
And let me tell you, talking about it, I think I like the episodes more.
I think so too. So 2020 year in review, I am going to give that a C-. I think Frank's storyline is not great, but it's very believable for Frank. Brian Husky is great. All the references to past episodes are great for the fans. Lethal Weapon 7, I'm going to give a C+.
Okay. Because you love Pepperjack.
Because Pepperjack. And Don Cheadle and Artemis. For a fan of Always Sunny, it's this is basically fan service, is what it comes down to. And while I did not like the episode, I think that anytime Pepperjack gets screen time is going to be great. And I found myself laughing out loud at his first scene when he's talking to the doll.
Well, yeah, we didn't address the doll, but the doll is a weird... I guess it makes sense in context of their budget. So
yeah, so they've already finished the season. So I would say if you're listening, to just maybe like work on the lights a little bit. If you have any of those cameras left over from like season 1 through 3, maybe go back to that.
Bust that out. Maybe
Do
get
like
your ball while you're in storage. Go find your balls and grab those.
But yeah, there you go. These episodes made me want to stop doing the podcast. I mean, honestly, you did kind of change my mind when you were talking about Dennis. Or like I sort of see what they're trying to say a little more clearly.
Fingers crossed. I think they're all talented and they're all wonderful. So we'll see. Well, except for Glenn, but we'll see.
I'm going to hit stop on the recording. Yada, yada, yada. See you here next week. Hopefully I don't decide to pull the plug.
Peace out.
Brought to you by the Natty and New Network.